now we're gonna start the meeting. This is maintenance and development, Monday, 3:30. And this is to discuss Eversource's increases. And I have some of Eversource people here. I know one of the individuals might be the Belly, good guy. I went to school with him. He is a representative here with Eversource. He brought down some people to go over some of the programs, certain things that they can do. I know they're doing certain seminars throughout the city as far as the bills go. Usually I don't, we're gonna do it a little bit different as a format. I kind of like, since we do have individuals here and you guys did come out, I want to at least give everyone a chance to introduce themselves. And we'll start.
Hi, John Hall, Springfield resident.
Vern MacArthur, Forest Park. Eric Wilson, Springfield resident.
Rusty Paulsgrove, McKnight, and a Rise for Social Justice.
Michelle Lee, Springfield resident.
Marlon Carey, Springfield resident.
Audrey Terrell, 42 years, Springfield resident, Ward 4.
Barbara Brown, Springfield. Ellie Brown, Springfield.
Brandon Bayman, Springfield.
Maya Marowitz, Springfield resident.
Sandra Collins, Springfield resident.
Ruth Mahoney, Springfield resident.
Ruthie Bateman, Springfield resident.
Steve Hooper, 16 acres. Tom Shea, Springfield taxpayer.
You please, Springfield resident.
David Pleat, Forest Park resident.
Mr. James Cavallo, Springfield resident.
Michelle Santerre, I'm a Springfield resident.
Giselle Gaines, Springfield resident.
I'm Erica Rachel Andrews, Springfield resident and co-director and president of a local tech nonprofit called Springfield.Community.
And I want to thank everyone who are participants online. Fortunately, this is kind of like, just let you guys know, quick overview of how this will go. If you guys have any particular questions or concerns, I would ask you guys to direct them through the chair. Direct them through me, please. I usually would let usually customarily let the counselors speak. A lot of times in this situation, we'll have a lot of people who have the same situation, so I don't want to like just, 20 people saying, hey, same thing, so I would at least open the floor first, which I usually don't do it first, but I will allow members of the public who are here, if you guys want to at least speak first, I will allow you to speak first. So right now, is there anyone who wish?
I think a good place to start would be to state the purpose of the meeting. And,
Well, I know,
and then go from there. So that way we can kind of
well, the
like
purpose
get
of,
in where we fit in.
we all know what the purpose of the meeting is. The purpose of the meeting, Eversource prices are too high,
Yes.
okay? That's why we're here, okay? Is there anyone who wishes to speak? Go ahead.
Sure. Again, David Pleat, Forest Park resident. I think the winter time is when we all notice that our expenses are going through the roof. So I've taken an opportunity to analyze my last 2 to 3 years of Eversource charges, both gas and electric. My understanding is that the profits of Eversource have gone up 20% over the past year. And that's my understanding. I understand also that the CEO of Eversource makes $19 million a year. So I've analyzed my charges and this is what I've come up with. There are several months where my gas charges are $4, $2, and $1. And my delivery charges are $28, $24, and $20. That represents a tenfold increase in delivery charge versus a gas charge. Now, if I look at my 2023, I'll just pick gas for now. I paid $840 in gas, but my delivery fee was $1,300. What does that mean? That means 61% of
I apologize. I don't want to keep.
61% of my cost was the delivery fee. The delivery fee is 1.6 times the gas charge in 2023. Now, in 2024, the delivery charge went from 61% to 66% of the total bill, and the delivery charge went from 1.6% up to 1.9% of the gas charge. So you're paying almost twice as much for delivery of gas as you would for the gas itself. And that's an increase when Eversource noticed a huge jump in their profits. If we look at the electric rates, in 2023, the delivery charge for electricity was 36%. Not bad of the bill. In 2024, the delivery charge went up to 66%. That at a time where Eversource was noticing a marked increase in their profits. So there's the delivery fee for electricity was 1.4 times the cost of the electricity itself.
Yeah.
So those are the points that I wanted to bring up. Eversource is increasing their delivery fee charges at a time when their profits are going up. There's also something that I don't understand. Maybe you could explain. What is the distribution adjustment charge? You know, that can be several $100s on a bill, and it's a nebulous charge.
Okay. And I appreciate, I want to give everyone an opportunity who wants to speak. We got to remember, and you have very good points. Appreciate you bringing them forward. We want to make sure that everyone, you know, who speaks, make sure let's get to it, you know, because.
Thank you, Councilman Brown. So one of the most important things, and look, I want lower rates like everybody else, but I've got a 43-year career lending to utilities and power projects. So first thing is, people need to know, how is Eversource regulated? It's a monopoly, yes. You don't want two pipes running down the same street. Eversource does not earn anything on your fuel, meaning your electricity, or your gas. It's a complete pass-through, zero. The second part is the distribution charge. Eversource earns, I believe it's somewhere between 8 and 9% as a return on its invested plan. Say, wow, that's a lot of money. What do they do with it? Well, when they need to put in new pipes, when they need new capital expenditures, half of it's from profit, half of it's from debt. Now, they don't just set their rates. The Department of Public Utilities sets their rates based on rate filings. So Eversource earns a 9% return, which is standard like every other utility. So what's driven your increase in rates? It's been colder. Gas prices have gone up. 76% of your electricity is generated by gas in New England. I'll try to be quick. Here's the point.
Point of order, Mr. Chair.
Yes,
Who is that speaking, please?
Tom Shea.
Tom Shea, attorney.
Okay, thank you.
So here's the biggest thing that can get changed today, and I would love to see it. An article in the Boston Globe yesterday, and you talk about your distribution adjustment. Two things, 30% of everyone's electric bill and probably your gas bill are solar adjustments, EV chargers, transition. If you're in an apartment on Spring Street or the North End on Main Street, you're lucky if you own a car. I don't know if you got an EV. There's no chargers. you're not getting a benefit for any of those fees. 30% of your bill, and you can thank the governor, the legislature, you don't really get a benefit for those charges. So tomorrow, those should be adjusted and go back to just the cost of electricity and the cost of distribution. The other thing real quick is in 2013, there was a bill before the legislature to give more transparency to your bill. I agree. I don't know what half the stuff is on there. And I lent money to these companies. They need to come out with a transparent bill that tells you what goes in that. The state forced Eversource to do offshore wind that's now been canceled by Ørsted. They lost tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars on that project. Those costs are probably somewhere in your distribution charge, and you can thank, it wasn't Eversource's fault, they got pushed to do it. But you need to know what's in your bill. So 30% tomorrow, get rid of the stuff you don't get a benefit for, because I don't think we're transitioning tomorrow. And then give transparency in your bill so you know what you're paying for. Thank you, Counselor.
Thank you.
Can I speak, Counselor? Because
Yeah.
some of the
Yeah,
information
hold
that
on,
you
hold
said
on.
was true, but some
Hold on.
isn't.
Hold on,
I-
Counselor.
Counselor, if I could just speak because I do have to jump to another meeting.
Counselor, hold on for a second.
Okay, sure.
So right now, what I'm gonna do, I allow, two to speak. I want at least to let two of my colleagues, if they have any concerns or if they want to speak. I want the counselors to be able to now have an opportunity. Counselor Whitfield, she'll be first. Counselor Whitfield?
Thank you. Because I feel like the gentleman that just spoke, has a problem with clean energy. And while that is one of the, other distribution charges, there are many. That's just one of the many. It's, the distribution charges are made up of delivery power to your home. And I'm on the DPW website, maintaining a safe and reliable distribution system, paying employees, paying for customer service, paying for meter and billing. And then the other distribution charges, and anybody can look this up, comes from tariffs. And that is being increased by this federal government. It's also DPW approved contracts. DPU approved contracts between customers and company. So all this information is right on their website. The distribution of solar charges is one charge, but there are many. So I encourage people to go on the website and do their own research and not just listen to anyone that's speaking, because there are many charges that are calculated into the distribution charge. And I do believe that things can be done legislatively to improve these charges or offset these charges. But to blame one aspect of one charge as the cause of the increase, I think is misleading. And I just did want to say that if we are going to get the explanation of these charges, we would like to hear from Eversource themselves. I don't know if they were invited, Counselor, but I think that they should be invited to the meeting so they can explain all the charges so that we are not misled into thinking it's just one charge. Thank you, Mr. President, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Counselor Whitfield. Counselor W, did you?
No.
Okay, any other counselors?
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you. If I may.
Yeah, go ahead, Counselor.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having this meeting. I know that, I had a lot of constituents reach out to me in the last few months regarding Eversource and their bills. The major concern is that there is there's no sense to the bills, it seems. And, it's a great idea to figure out where the charges are coming from. Regardless, they're extremely high and our residents aren't able to afford to pay them. I just read, there's a group on Facebook that I joined because a lot of our constituents are on there. And I just read that it was a senior citizen who got their bill for over $1,000 for 1 month. And more than half of that was for delivery charges. I know that there are some state legislatures right now working on some legislation that is going to address this. However, our residents are struggling today. And we need to figure out a way that we can address this today somehow, or at least find some sort of resolution. I'd love to hear, again, same what Council Whitfield said from Eversource, the explanation of these charges, right? And then a lot of times I hear, oh, well, we can tell you ways of how you can reduce your usage, right? Reducing the usage isn't going to really affect the bill that much, right? Because there's people that turn their lights off all the time. I've seen people that unplug everything. They don't turn their heat up past a certain point. They're cold in their homes. Our residents shouldn't have to be cold in their homes when they're paying an Eversource bill. This isn't a monopoly. We have to find a way. I know Holyoke did it. I want to say Chicopee is doing it. We have to find a way where there is competition and that we can get a real, you know, service to our residents that is fair and that is going to be just. Programs exist and that's great. Why are the residents paying for those programs? Eversource, I imagine, has a charitable arm to it. So Mass Save should be coming out of that arm. Any programs and benefits that they're giving out should be coming out of those arms as opposed to charging the customers for it. So that's my point. That's the reason I'm here. And I really would like for us to find, like you said, a solution to this issue that many, many residents have, as you can see by the 37 participants only on the Zoom meeting. It looks like your room is full there too. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you,
Mr. Chair, Mr. Chair,
yes, Councilor Perez.
yes, I would not go out saying that one of the biggest concerns that my constituents has, and I have received many calls, is that they look, excuse me, at their bill every month and it's up and down. There's not set amount. I got an elderly person that, like my colleague, Govan said, she doesn't even put the lights on. And it is the control. It's not the height rate only. It is this, how do I call it? The disparity of the rates that is astronomical. So you could be, it's like a lottery. You could have $8 one month, for example, for the public, and then turn out and you budget those $8. But next month, when it comes next month, it's $100. So those are the issues that is creating not only the rates, but homelessness, people are unable to eat because those astronomical bills that are coming. So I needed to extend that because those are the concerns that has been reflected to me. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Counselor. Now I'll turn it back. I'll do one more. I know there's a person behind me. I'll let one more person go and then I'll let Eversource speak and then we'll continue. I'll allow you guys still to speak. I want it to be a dialogue. So everyone, I wanted Eversource individuals to hear some of our concerns. So even in their presentations, it could be catered to maybe addressing some of them. So with that in mind,
Thank you. My name is Sandra Collins. I'm a city resident of Springfield for 29 years. I lived in Forest Park in a house that was 3,300 square feet. As a recent widow, I figured, how can I reduce my costs now that I am down to one salary? So I moved to a house that was 1,300 square feet, a third the size. I lowered my thermostat to 58 degrees.
Whoa.
My therm usage went down to 101. My supply cost fabulously declined. So I thought, wonderful, I can now manage on a widower's budget. My delivery cost is equal, if not, is almost more from January 2022 to January 2025. Same months. Yes, maybe a difference in the temperature, but you can see I've reduced my thermostat to 58 degrees. My usage and the size of my house. I even went to a house that was 100 years newer. But the delivery charge, I chose to stay in Springfield. My children attended Springfield. As a widow, I could have moved anywhere, but I chose to stay in Springfield. It's time for Springfield and the Commonwealth to help me out.
And I'll go one more.
Yeah. Similar to that.
You can introduce, just say who you are so the counselors can.
Yeah, my name is Naya Tanarowitz. I'm a resident of Springfield. I live in Metro Center. And I'm also involved in the Springfield Climate Justice Coalition. I want to just say that I would like Eversource to pay for something themselves, because right now they charge us for pretty much everything. We pay for the actual gas that we pay for. Fair enough. We pay, from the ratepayers comes that 9.67% return on investment on all the pipes in the ground, all their projects, every single year that comes from ratepayers. We pay for GSEP, which is set to be its pipeline replacement to reduce gas leaks. It's not actually reducing gas leaks that much, it's breaking even. They reduce the amount of leaks, and by the next year, that same number of leaks has started. But it's set to be $40 billion by the time they're done. That comes out to over $23,000 per ratepayer with the current number of ratepayers. That comes from ratepayers. We are currently paying for Eversource to do all sorts of things, like their advertising. If it's mixed advertising where they have a safety message in there and then they can use our money to print their propaganda and send it out to people. They are using our money for everything and they are not paying for any of it themselves. They're charging us for Mass Save, which I would like to say, as one of the younger people in the room, I would like to not live through the apocalypse. So I would like the clean energy transition to happen so I have a chance of surviving to see the next generation be able to thrive and not just suffer in conditions that are truly unfathomable to everyone in this room. So we do need that transition. But yeah, Eversource is one of the companies that has contributed to the climate crisis. They need to actually step up and stop just taking our money and sending it off to their investors. They, in the last 2 years, had an increase of profit, a business surge of 29% just in 2024. Last year, they spent $1 billion in gas infrastructure, and they get, like I said, 10% of, almost 10% of that, plus all the other stuff they're taking from us. I am tired of a private corporate entity that claims to be serving the people to just drain us dry and not actually do any service that benefits us and not them.
So I definitely want to thank everyone for their comments. We're here. I will let Eversource speak. They have certain things as far as programs and things that's available. After that, I have a few, I'll speak about a few alternative things that I wanted to come up with and present, to the city. But I do know there are programs. I have been working with one of their workers there, and I do know there is good news as far as they're saying they are gonna do some of the work that we've been doing. They're looking to lower it, I hear. I hear, I'm not gonna, but this is what I hear based on some of the things that they will lower it a percentage, certain percentage wise, is from what I'm hearing. And I believe they have until maybe like 5 today or something.
5%, I think is what the state
5%.
dictated.
Yeah, 5%.
Well, that
Yeah.
costs me
And then
it's gonna be recouped in the off season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm giving myself a loan with interest. Why
Yeah.
why
Exactly.
would I do that?
But I still, you know, one thing, I know that, regardless, Eversource, you know, they're here. I want them to at least hear our concerns.
Yeah.
Okay, I want them to know, you know, what's going on. I know, a lot of times right now, Mike and his team, they're looking to have to give some answers and maybe certain solutions and things that might be available. So Mike,
You got some counselors that have their hand
oh,
raised.
okay, all right, Counselor Walsh?
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. Let me see I think I'm on mute.
No, I can hear you.
Okay. Well, I'd like to hear from Eversource, but I want to thank you for having this meeting because I think we're all suffering from these bills. And I'm just hoping that as a result of everyone coming together, we'll be able to do something to help people. And I wanted to ask you, are you aware of anything on the state level that's actually going to address this problem and lower the bills?
I know as far as the different legislation that is coming out, I know the governor is looking to address it. So we are looking to address it. Just, you know, there's certain solutions that that I think we can come up with as a city. You know, I'll address some of it. You know, I would hope that, you know, we can get support from the body and from the city itself. I just want to at least give Eversource an opportunity. But as far as the legislation goes, we are working on different things as far as the state level, in order to.
I really think it's really got to be solved at that level.
Yes, you're correct. You're
And
correct.
just like to say that I really relate to the new widow, and I was sorry for her loss because I know her family, and I can totally relate to what you're going through.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Walls. Counselor Delgado?
Thank you. I'll try to keep this short because, like everybody else, I want to hear from Eversource. For me, I really want to hear an explanation and breakdown of our bill. Because I think I want to learn more about that and how that, especially on the delivery side, how it gets to be so much, and what does that actually cover in terms of. I heard the gentleman speak about improvements, and I know that there has to be improvements to make sure that the systems work. But I really want to hear that breakdown and what our bill is paying for. It breaks my heart to hear that anybody has to keep their temperature below 60 degrees. I keep mine at 62 and I thought that was cold. Nobody should be having to keep their temperature even 62 degrees, let alone 55. So we've got to find a way to get some solutions today. The other thing I would like to recommend once we hear from Eversource is we as a council write some type of letter to the governor and to the legislature, because I know that we pay for Mass Save and I know there's programs like that, but we've got to find a way to make that more easier and streamlined for residents to be able to access that, because they do have, you know, loan programs and things like that, but a lot of times it can get really complicated. And I think in situations like this, we need to find a way and solutions to streamline that process for our residents, because if we're paying for it, we should be benefiting from it as well. And lastly, I want to say is I know recently the city council approved the city working on this community choice energy program. And now I know that that's not a solution that's going to help out residents now, but I just want to make sure that the residents understand that we are paying attention, we're listening, and hopefully, and I want to make sure the city can give further updates when we can on this community choice energy program, which will allow the city of Springfield to purchase electric supply as a group, which in theory should make our rates cheaper versus us paying for it individually. So that's one thing that's on the horizon that we've been working on. So I just wanted to put that out there. But with that, I really would love to hear from Eversource. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Counselor Delgado. I see Counselor Bruce.
Thank you, Chair. Again, I'm gonna make my comments brief as well. I stand with the constituents and residents on these bills are extremely high and extremely ridiculous. And our residents need answers in regards to why our bills are going up and up and up and up each and every year. It's getting out of hand, and definitely need answers on delivery costs and all the explanation on our bills. So I echo what my colleagues already said regarding explanation on our bills. So definitely all ears and want to get some answers from Eversource. Thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you, Counselor. With that in mind, I'll turn the floor over to Eversource if you guys want to go into whatever brief presentation or anything.
Sure, and I'll start off. Council Brown, thank you for inviting us. Mike Vitavelli, I'm the Director of Community Relations here at Eversource, and I have a few of my subject matter experts, colleagues on this call that can help add some further information. As Council Brown and I were able to discuss last week, he didn't want a formal presentation from us, but we do have an opportunity to kind of speak to some of the components that were raised by the customers here and your constituents. So with that, I just want to touch on a few high-level things, and I'll hand it over to some of the other Eversource people here. First, one, we have heard everybody. We have seen the letters that have been written to the governor, that have been written to the Department of Public Utilities. We're fully aware of that, and we're working very closely right now with the Department of Public Utilities. As was mentioned earlier, the department has instructed all gas companies in Massachusetts for immediate 5% reduction. Eversource is committed to making that 5% in addition to other items that is currently being spoken. There's current measures being spoken about right now. Our proposal will be due to the department by 5 p.m. today, and we'll be able to share with you what that proposal is in the coming days. So that is kind of one message. The other thing is we did hold a couple webinars last week to kind of further help explain the bills, especially on the delivery side, and other ways to offset some of the costs. Now, those, if you were not able to attend those, there were only like 25 minutes. Those are available on eversource.com/bill help. Those, you could watch those at any time. And we do encourage each and every one of you, if you have any questions, please call our customer service department, which we can go over each of your individual bills and talk about any specific programs that could be for assistance. One other thing we have done is we are setting up an in-person bill help session. We're going to be at the Raymond Jordan Senior Center. We worked with the city on that. That will be held on March 18th from 1 to 3. And again, that will be in person. We'll have customer service agents there that can work with you individually on your bill. And then lastly, I do have also someone from energy efficiency. There was mentioned about some of the homes and kind of the inefficient manners of the homes, how it's set up. We do have energy efficiency programs that we, again, encourage you to participate in. It was just mentioned earlier with some of the others, counselors talking about that. But I think for the earliest thing, if we can do is just kind of talk about the components of what makes up the delivery charge. And with that, I do have Richard Chin from our rates department that can speak to some of the components that went into November 1st rate change. Richard?
Richard.
Thank you, Mike.
Yep.
So thank you. So thank you everyone for expressing your concerns. I understand where everyone's I understand where everyone's coming from, and I'm going to try and explain sort of the components of the bill and help people understand, what some of these charges are and what they mean. I'm going to share my screen and hopefully everyone can see it. Let me see how I do that on Zoom. Can everyone see my screen here?
No.
No.
See nothing but you. You need to share.
Yeah, I click share. It's not doing anything.
Are you in City Hall?
No, I'm not.
And does he have permission to share?
I don't think so. I don't
Focus
know.
Springfield.
Focus would have to.
Let's look at every source to share.
Sean's gonna get permission. He's gonna get permission for you.
Can I make a quick comment?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so two observations that what I just heard you, and I'm gonna correct you. You call this customers. Customers implies a choice. I don't feel like I have a choice, so I'm gonna consider myself a hostage, okay? The second one is 5% reduction, okay? It's a 5% deferment. We're paying it. We're gonna pay more than 5% in the long run. So customer and just tell us what it is.
Make sure you guys direct it to the chair.
Oh, okay, that's it.
You should be. 5%. What is, okay.
You should be able to share.
Can you share it?
It's still on the share. Are you able to see?
No, try to click it and re-click. There you go.
Do you see the slides here? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, we see it.
Okay. All right, so this is a condensed version of the webinar that Michael had mentioned that's posted on our website. I clipped some of these slides here and condensed it down and try and explain the various components of the bill. So this first slide here is components of your gas bill. And there are two primary components to your bill, delivery and supply. And I know from hearing all of you that the customers have complained about their delivery rate being much higher than supply. And there are two reasons for this. One is that the delivery charges, they include funding for programs, designed to help customers beyond just the pipes that are used to bring gas to your home. And then the second thing is that volumetric rates are used for both delivery and supply. That means that both will increase based on your usage. So your delivery rates will also increase as your usage increases. So what is that delivery charge? There are two pieces to the delivery charge. The first is what we call base distribution rates. And the base distribution rates, they recover the cost of operating, maintaining, and upgrading the natural gas system. This includes the cost of labor and the facilities used to serve you. And then the second is this distribution adjustment charge, which includes energy efficiency and other programs. And I'll describe what's more in this because I think this particular charge, I think, is what is nebulous to people. As I mentioned before, like the supply rate, the delivery charge is also volumetric. So actually, before I go into distribution adjustment charge, so the base distribution rates are basically these three items that you see here: the customer charge, the distribution charge, and the revenue decoupling charge. They basically recover the cost of bringing the pipes to your home and delivering the gas to your home. So the distribution adjustment charge. So this charge is a single line item on your bill, but the distribution charge is actually recovering a variety of costs. The major components are energy efficiency, the gas system enhancement program, and that low-income discount program. And you can see that in this pie chart here, that these three items are the largest components of the distribution adjustment charge. So the energy efficiency, that funds mass saved to enable customers, to weatherize their homes and reduce costs in the long run. GSEP is that gas system enhancement program that accelerates the replacement of aging infrastructure. And then the low-income programs, they provide discounts and arrearage management to those customers that are in greatest need of financial assistance. So increases in the cost of these programs over time has contributed to a higher distribution adjustment charge. And that's what you're seeing on your bill. All three of these programs, energy efficiency, GSEP, low income, they're statutory, but they're designed to help customers. So the supply charge, I think most of you already know what the supply charge. We purchase natural gas to be delivered to customers, and we set a price twice a year to reflect that seasonal cost of gas. We procure gas through three methods to try and stabilize the price for customers. They are spot market purchases, the injections to storage throughout the year, and contracts. So Eversource acts as a middleman in this particular process. We just pass on the cost of the gas that we procure for customers. So this winter's natural gas usage, it's been a very cold winter, colder than the past 2 years. And in the chart in the slide, you can see the progression of usage as the winter months set in. November was actually warmer than normal, and then we saw normal temperatures in December and a very cold January. The last 2 winters, however, have been warm, so which makes this winter, I think, stand out even more than previous winters. You can see that the usage in January 2025 is higher than it was in January 2024. So colder temperatures mean more natural gas is used for heating. Higher usage leads to increased costs, even if you don't change your thermostat because your thermostat setting, because your furnace will need to work harder against that colder outside temperature. Historically, January and February are our coldest months, so hopefully with March coming on, that we'll see some warmer weather and lower bills. So the rate impacts that you've all been seeing, I'm not sure I really need to state this, but you've seen for an average residential customer using 168 therms, which is what we saw for the company in January, they saw their total bill increase $88 from approximately $297 last January. So the largest factors contributing to this increase are an increase to the base distribution rate, that was increased to bring up the standards of the legacy Columbia gas system, an increase in the energy efficiency rate to fund programs under Mass Save, and an increase in the supply prices, relative to last year because we saw higher market prices in a cold winter. So that basically is the a summary of the bill and how it works. And I'm happy to answer questions that all of you may have.
Yeah, Counselor Davlia.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for everybody for showing up today. This really means a lot to us as counselors to see so many people in the same room to talk about new needs. And I feel it's important. I was kind of waiting until the presentation and until you guys had an opportunity to speak. But I'm going to, Mr. Chair, if you allow me to address my questions to the Eversole representative, to Rich and to Mike. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the clarity. And I know that this is a very complicated subject and a very technical subject. And I have to ask, I have a plethora of questions, but at least let me start with the basic one before we move forward. And that is, you just gave us a wonderful explanation, Rich, of the bill and the bill structure. But honestly, I still, unless I missed something, the basic question, which I think we're all here to answer and to ask is, why is the delivered cost so high? I know you explained the structure of the bill, but I feel that I still don't know the answer to that basic question. Why is the bill so damn high?
Sure, I can try and address different pieces of why that bill has gone up. It's not a one-time effect that you're seeing. It's the effect of different programs being added over the years and also increases in our own system costs. So the three items that I mentioned, that would basic the energy efficiency, the base distribution costs, the supply costs. That was the impact of the change from November of this year to last year. And what customers are seeing is higher bills, not just from that increase in November, but I think a gradual increase over time, and that which has been accentuated by a colder winter and higher uses. So those two things coming together has resulted in higher bills. So the energy efficiency program, that has grown over the years. We used to be a very, very small item in customers' bills, but starting in, I would say, in 2008 when the Green Communities Act was passed. It really overhauled all the energy efficiency programs. The state was moving towards a cleaner future, and that involved promoting lots of programs that were not in existence before. We didn't have Mass Save the way we have it today, and those programs have kind of grown and evolved over the years. So that's one aspect that has changed on customers' bills. Another one is the distribution system. So we talked about, I mentioned that distribution system costs have increased. So Springfield served by EGMA, which is the legacy Columbia Gas system. So that Columbia Gas system, when we acquired it, the rates were actually frozen. It was a condition of the settlement. And we found that the system needed to be brought up to our standards. You know, that Columbia Gas exited the state because of that disaster in Lawrence. So when they exited the state, we took it over, rates were frozen, and we agreed to upgrade the system, but we needed to eventually bring those rates, higher in order to meet the investments that we put into the system. And that, as part of that settlement agreement, we started increasing those rates, I think, in the last couple of years. So that's another facet of the increase. Supply prices, they float. You know, some of the years will be smaller, some years will be higher, which is why some of the complaints that I heard earlier about delivery and supply and the relative portions of the bill. In 2023, I think, supply was through the roof. That was probably over $1 per therm. That's why you result in seeing a share that was 50-50. But now that prices have gone down, you can really see that delivery prices have grown over the years. And inside that distribution adjustment charge is also other rates that have other programs that have been increased, that have been introduced over the years. That GSEP program has grown. The low income program that grew a little bit because of I think COVID. And there was some financial distress and people walked in some. So there was a high point maybe a few years ago, and that's whittled down. They float from year to year. I'm not sure if that.
Rich, I just want, I'm sorry, Counselor, one more thing. Just, one of the.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, who's speaking?
This is Mike Vitavelli from Eversource.
Go ahead, Mike.
All right, sorry, Counselor. One of the other main drivers, and Rich did touch upon it, but the investments from the safety assessment that was done when we acquired Columbia Gas, in order to have a safe and reliable system, all those investments that were made 5 years ago, 4 years ago, all of them have really come together right now as to when we could be part of the bill. So that was a major component as part of that whole acquisition of Columbia Gas.
Mike, like I say, I do have a plethora of questions, but I know people here want to speak, and I really want to hear from the people themselves. But I will, if you allow me, Mr. Chair, just to say that first, this, I believe, Mike, you said that there's going to be at the Ray Jordan Center from 1 to 3 in information bill session to help people review. That's wonderful. But please forgive my candor. That's just a token. That is good public relations. That's all it is. And I tell you, gentlemen, because you guys are the ones here representing Eversource, and I thank you for that. That's BS. That's just a token of good publicity for you. You need to have a lot more. You need to be in every neighborhood, in every civic association, in every neighborhood council. You need to be out there. How are you going to do that? I have no clue. That's for you to figure out. But for 1, 2, 3, one time only, you are not going to do a thing. I will encourage you. I will implore you. Deploy your people, talk to people, because now, I'm going to finish with this question, Mr. Chair, and I thank you for your attitude. What are we going to do during the summer? Because we know damn well that people are going to be behind the bill. And now the winter, there's protections, true. What are we going to do when we have 100, 104 degree weather out there? Now everybody's going to qualify. So, and I know you're probably gonna come back saying to me, we have this program, we got that program. Well, this is not only about the program, this is about reducing the bill. And I know you don't have all the answers, but we need to figure something out. This is not sustainable. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Counselor. Now, I'll just go briefly. I know Eversource, we still have you guys, but I want to be able to speak real quickly as far as so we kind of have maybe certain things I wanted to present to see if there are alternative things that we could do. Chris, I wanted Chris to be online. I personally wanted to do as a city our own power and utilities, just like Chicopee, Holyoke, and other people. I want to know if we can do a study and let's do our own. Okay, and not only just not to do our own, I talked to Chris about maybe getting more futuristic. There is what Erica, if you can briefly speak of the other clean energy, and they given federal funding and things. Can you speak a little bit?
Yeah. Massachusetts is actually lagging behind other states. Connecticut has multiple fuel cells producing clean energy, at zero ecological cost and very affordably compared to, what's happening to us now. My experience with this personally has been that, I moved to Springfield in 2023 with my partner. Our electricity rates have doubled since then. I think something very valuable was pointed out here that, during the initial sale of the old, gas system to Eversource here, it was rate limited. Now, that's a utility. Electricity and gas, they're supposed to be utilities. They're essential to life in our modern society here, right? Today, it seems like we had that figured out for a while, but hey, extortionate delivery fees, make it an additional charge, get around that, change that, for a record profit. Sure, that's wonderful, but something's got to give here. That's not the spirit of what any of this is even supposed to be in the first place. We need to, if our providers are not willing, to, meet that, basic concept of what is even supposed to be provided here, then we need to look elsewhere. We need to look to the future. We need to look to ourselves if that's the only, people we can rely on for this.
Thank you, Erica. Now, Chris, what would it be? Can we do our own power? We can't look in the study and do our own thing?
Well, just to look at a handful of things that have been talked about today, the energy cost or the actual energy, we would have to purchase from somewhere, which we would do the same thing as Eversource does.
Yeah.
And all of the programs that Eversource does, we would have to recreate. Being a city of lower income, we're going to have a lot of people who are going to look for lower income or look for cuts in their bills, which means other people in the city are going to have to do it. Number three, if you're talking electric and gas, you're probably talking $200 to $300 million to put that in place. So we got to put in our own gas mains.
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to put that in? How much is it going to cost? Where are we getting the gas from? And we then have to have the delivery charge because we then have to maintain the system. So we can do a study. We can do a study on it, but I think you're looking at astronomical numbers.
Chris, how are the surrounding areas? When I talk to them, their bills are lower.
Mm-hmm.
Because they've had their own system since day one.
Okay, so what I mean is longevity. If we do it now, in the future, it'll be cost effective. It might hit us in the pocket right now, but Eversource is just going to be more and more expensive. And when you're talking about even the clean energy, you're talking about they're doing it over in Connecticut. They're producing clean energy and they're cutting it in half the price.
And my question then is going to be, where are you going to come up with $200 to $300 million?
I know that they petition, I know there's money out there that you can petition for, just like how we petition for different federal funding and things like that. So we can petition for it. I know that in Connecticut, they petitioned and they got like 67 million for infrastructure. But what happens with us is in the council meetings, every time Eversource come and they want to build a pole or dig a line, we're providing a space that we could in the future have used ourselves to create our own. And to have it, I would at least be able, just like cable, to be able to let the people be able to have a choice. If we don't do it now, I just think what would stop Eversource from continually keep increasing it? It's not going to go down. It's not going to go down. It's just good. We know as a business, you have to have, I come from corporate America, retired from corporate America. You're showing profit. You have to show profit. So I think as a city, we should still look into creating different ways of our own power, our own utilities in some ways. And we can look for funding on the state and federal funding level because there's different funding out there available. But I really as a council body, as a city, I want the city itself. I want everyone to get behind us now. Let us build our own. Okay, and whatever it's gonna cost, we try to get the money for it, and then we'll have an alternative option as energy. If Eversource want to now provide services to individuals, they still will have the option, but we'll have our own also. And now it'll be more competitive, and they just won't be one big go-to everywhere because they're gonna own all when everything is done, before everything, because we come in front of our council, they're gonna own every street pole, they're gonna own every wires under the ground, and before that happens, before we sign away and give them everything, I think we should look in doing our own because Chicopee, Holyoke, and these other people, they're doing it and their bill is lower.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes, go ahead, Councilor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So there's a lot of commentary in the chat from our residents, it looks like. And I actually just got some information from one of my constituents who said that in 2019, Eversource made investments and capital expenditures $2.91 billion with a B. Their earnings per share for their stocks was $3.45, which was an increase of 6.2% from 2018. So their returns were 34% compared to say 25% with Edison Electric, which is another stock. So far we don't know the numbers for 2024 yet, but again, my concern with these delivery charges, and this is not just the gas bills, this is the electricity bills as well. The delivery charges, if we're the customers are paying for these programs that Eversource is probably getting credit for, right? They're getting credit for doing low income stuff. They're getting credit for doing energy efficiency, but we're paying for it. I don't understand. And the residents are telling me that they don't understand either. And I'm just wondering, and if there's a way, I know that Mike and Richard are not the decision makers here, but if they could bring it back to whoever is the decision maker and figure out how we could transfer that payment back to Eversource, maybe the stock is only going to be increasing by 33%, right? The stockholders won't make that much. And why don't we own stock in Eversource? We should have bought it a long time ago. Now we probably can't afford it. So I'm just wondering, and I'm speaking for the constituents who are here and who have been speaking for the last month. Something needs to happen, and something needs to happen now. I know that, again, that the state is doing some work and the legislatures are working on something. That's not going to help what we're doing today. And that brings me to my property tax comments that I always make about lowering our property tax bills. And Chris is going to say, oh, well, if we lower property taxes, we can't build these infrastructures for the, no, we can't do both. But I agree with you, Mr. Chair, that we do need to do something different going forward. But again, our residents are here today and they're concerned with the bill that they have today and that the bill that they're getting next month. And they just seem so, they're different. Every month it's a different bill. The amount is different. And, there's no reasoning for it, right? As you see, our residents are doing what they can to lower their usage. But the bills continue to increase and it just doesn't make sense for someone said it, right? Springfield is a low income population. Most of our residents are low income. So we need to find a way to help all of our residents so that we don't, continue going down this path. Those are my comments. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr.
Thank
Chair,
you, Counselor. Counselor Perez?
yeah, I have to reintegrate. We are having family that cannot able to serve a decent dinner to the children because of the high cost of this rate. I have families that has been evicted. This is a reality of life that I deal every day because they have to get as being the lowest, and the ward that I represent is the poorest in the state. So that's why I have the concern, unable to pay the rent because they have to balance, although they have utility to heat up or they pay their rent. I think that one of my recommendations is getting together with the city. We can just not say we cannot do it. You know what I'm saying? I'm here, we cannot do it. Let's work from another angle. How could we do it? I deal a lot through the work that I do during the day with Holyoke and Chicopee utilities, and we should invite them and see from the perspective of the subcommittee and hear from them, not only from EverSource. We should hear from other parties. How are they able to sustain themselves? Because I know they have good. I know that they have good programs. So I am entertaining through the subcommittee, not only to engage with EverSource, but to have some other people come and say how sustainable the programs that the constituents are requiring to lower the bills. And again, this is a crisis like any other crisis. I see it every day, every day. We ask for more money as a financial resource. We're investing more money. We're investing more money with EverSource to pay the bills, but we not accomplish anything. So I think we should continue this conversation with other parties as well. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Counselor. And I would just still say, just to add to what you're saying, that I do plan on inviting different municipalities and figure out how they're doing it. Really, my goal from this point on is to make our own. I'm set to do the study and let's do our own. Not saying we won't still do business with EverSource, but I think we should look into building our own for another option. I know that I would like to see what Connecticut does with the clean energy. I know I'd like to see what Holyoke does. I know they do like the water turbines and things like that or something like that. But I believe, we should look in to different ways. I wanted EverSource still to be here, to give you guys an opportunity. I know Mike, he's a good guy. I've known him since I was a kid. He will make sure that our concerns are given to EverSource. So he is still from Springfield's Cathedral grad. He's gonna still, even though he works there, he got bosses, but he's gonna fight for us. Okay. So I kind of knew, as far as EverSource, they were gonna still introduce themselves, give us, tell them. I know they still have other programs and things. I'll let them go into that, but I'll still turn it back over to some of the people who might have some more concern. I'll go right here first, as she asked.
Hi, my name is Lauren Gilkerson. And in November 2024, we signed in a bill 2967, and this is kind of a question for Eversource. And I've been hearing that because of this bill, we will be receiving another hike in rates. Is this true? And do you know what the percentage will be? Yes, 2967.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that bill. I don't know if our government affairs knows as well, but that's something we can get back to you if you, and Councilor Brown, that's what I was going to mention is like, if there's any specific questions, I know Councilor Davila mentioned several questions that he had. If you want to send those over to me afterwards, we can have those as a follow-up to get those proper answers for you. So
I'll make sure that, I'll make sure you think, go ahead.
Quick comment. So in addition to everything you're doing, and I commend you for what you're doing, we should encourage Eversource to be broken up. Okay, honestly, it can stay a public company, one electric, one gas, instead of colluding. Now they're competing with each other, right? So now if my furnace is too much, I get a heat pump, right, to try to save money on that. These guys control electricity and natural gas. They got their hands in all their pockets. If it's a separate electric company, separate gas, then they're competing against each other. Then there's a motivation to get gas customers to come over electric, get electric to come over to gas. And it'll naturally go down. It's so easy. You know, just in addition to everything else, let's all encourage it. You guys tell the guys up in the state and just and that's a great statement. That's why kind of like today also, I wanted us to still have constructive and concrete maybe suggestions and solutions. I would have never thought of making it more competitive that way also. So great. And the state has to dictate it, and that's it. They dictate them now. They dictate we got to have them. They're going to say, hey, you want to stay here? You're still public companies. They're still going to keep all their resources. They still keep their lines. They still keep their pipes. But now they're competing against each other instead of colluding with each other.
Yeah, I have a heat pump. Didn't help.
Because it's Eversource.
Donna Hall, Hungry Hill resident. I have a question. There's all this talk, Mike and Rich, about energy efficiency. I know people that have done all the energy efficiency programs that are put out there. Have received heat pumps. Their electric bill skyrocketed to $672 and they are still cold in their house. So my question is, and I'm told after the fact that heat pumps are not efficient in the winter month. We live in a cold place. So if we're being pushed to go energy efficiency and get heat pumps, while you are also knowing, on the other hand, that they are not efficient in winter climates and that you're going to still get, how is this energy efficient and going to lower my cost when it's going up to skyrocket at $672? Okay, so that was my first question. I want to know, for transparency reason, how much money that we are sending to Eversource is actually going to the Mass Saves program. And then also, how much is being spent on the Mass Saves program? Where can we get those figures at so we can see transparency wise where our money is being spent for these programs? And does Mass Saves match the money that we send them to support this Mass Saves program? And then also, this group that I'm in, Citizens Against Eversource, has people that are in Connecticut and they have this Cleaner Energy Act. Their bills are just as expensive as ours. So that clean energy program isn't working either to effectively lower anyone's bills. So I don't understand. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Let me go here.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
My name is Khalid Maddox of DGO, and I live in the Forest Park neighborhood. As a consumer, I'm really being challenged now by the price hikes. My income is about, in retirement is about $1,700 like a month. But my electric bill is now $350 a month. The gas bill is comparable to that, and it keeps going up and going up. And when the summer months get here, I'm still dealing with the overhang from the bills, like, from the winter time. And it's like it can never catch up or whatnot. Plus I have other expenses. I have to, deal with taxes, water, food, like, maintenance, travel, medical situations and whatnot. And the fact of the matter is, perhaps not just Eversource, but utility corporations anyway, need to face the fact that they're dealing with a generation, the largest generation ever, like in the existence of this country, the baby boom generation. And our incomes are not going up, they're going down as other expenses go up. And and it just doesn't make it good for us. And I'm tired of being threatened. I feel I've been threatened many times. I mean, they say it nicely, but I'm being threatened. We're gonna cut this off if this don't happen. Well, those entitlements, those are programs that's supposed to be helping me save money. I get into them, but hey, if I get sick, get hospitalized or whatnot, I can't pay that monthly bill or whatever. I'm getting further behind or whatnot. And it's not that I want to owe money. And the second thing I want to say, I went to school in Boston at a university, a college in Boston, in solar energy technology and installation. And I'm telling you, what this gentleman here has been talking about, self-sufficiency, it is practical, but I think in this situation, it would be started too late. It's been started too late while other communities in the area have already started. It can be done, but for future populations or whatnot, and it should be done. I think what we could do here in the city is under the leadership of people who advocates of this, is have establish an ownership fund for all the citizens who live here and own property and rent or whatnot, could contribute to that on their own, get a tax break of some sort, but contribute to that on a weekly or monthly or whatever annual basis or whatever, and build up a fund, plus do crowdfunding, plus go after some of these funds are there in the federal government, the state government. The CEC in Boston is a great resource for something like this or whatnot. And I notice people in Springfield really are not taking advantage of those programs or whatnot to establish our own things. I belong to all the organizations that's here in the western part of the state, and they're right now been trying to promote solar gardens, solar farms or whatnot in Springfield, but there's been not enough emphasis, not enough support from city council, from the mayor's office, from our legislative delegations and whatnot, and pushing that information to our neighborhoods. It's very, very, very important that we do something like this. Otherwise, things don't just get worse. And I'm saying Eversource is a business. And its primary interest is making money, profits. And they have a board of directors. Their board of directors have stocks. They have stockholders and whatnot. They want a return on their investment. And frankly, at the end of the day, they don't give a damn how they get it as long as they get it. I mean, that's just the bottom line. I've learned that, covering, I was a former news reporter, covering those events in Wall Street and the Boston Stock Exchange. That's just reality.
Thank you. Well, we're gonna take one last one. Usually gonna wrap this up in 10 minutes. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Stephen Howard, McKnight neighborhood. When you were presenting the gentleman, Mr. Chin, I believe it is, when you were showing the finances a while ago, there was an $88 increase from 1 month to the next. That represents between 30 to 35% increase from 1 month to the next, right? Our salaries, our income, whether it be retirement or whatever, does not go up by 30 to 35% a month. But we are expected to pay those bills on time. One more thing. There are two poles on Worthington I think it's pole 66, and the other one is by the Triangle Park, that has been out for years. They've replaced the poles, but those poles still don't give light. The house on the corner by the Triangle Park, more than 10 years ago, a car ran into the porch. There's been a lot of accidents in that area, mainly because of poor lighting. Why is it that poles cannot be, the poles could be replaced, but they still don't give any light, even though complaints have been made for over a decade? Why does that happen? A couple of months ago, a gentleman got run over on a bike right at that same pole 66 at night, almost lost his life. What does it take for you to repair a simple thing like a street light, yet we're paying, I don't want to say how much our gas bill was this past month, but it was over $1,000, okay? Where the heck are we supposed to get that kind of money to pay those kind of bills when the fat cats who invest in your company go on vacation? They're in Hawaii or someplace. When I just came from digging out from 2 inches of ice on the sidewalk after it froze. But yet the fat cats are in Hawaii or on some yacht, someplace in the Caribbean. You're not taking the people who are paying your salaries, you're not paying attention to them. You just want to make sure that the fat cats remain fat. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And I'm gonna let Councilor Delvia has a statement.
Yeah, I just want to thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to make a quick comment to kind of wrap up with this, Mr. Chair. Steve, thank you for bringing those issues up. Tomorrow at 12 o'clock, we're gonna have another meeting talking about the streetlights and the lack thereof, the lack of replacement, the lack of maintenance. We have an issue with the streetlights here in Springfield. And the reason that I bring that up because they're also maintained. Most of them are owned by Eversource. And so that means it's gonna be here in this room tomorrow at 12 o'clock. I also want to say that I just want Eversource, Mike and Mr. Chin, Rich. I want to thank you guys for being here. And obviously you guys can see that people are upset. And I know you guys get it. This is not sustainable. I also want you to know that I am personally annoyed with Eversource because of these ridiculous, ludicrous increases. This is like being slapped back and forth in the face. And because of the lack of maintenance in our streetlights. Mr. Chair, I heard you loud and clear when you were talking about the possibility of us owning on grid. The town of Westfield, Holyoke, and Chicopee, among many others, have their own grid. I'm sure it is expensive endeavor, but if it was done back then, it was done for a reason. I wouldn't necessarily be opposed, Mr. Chair, to looking at the possibility of what Chris mentioned. Chris acknowledged, Chris, good to see you here today. At the facility or doing a study of the facility of us owning on grid. Because Eversource needs to be put on notice. We're serious about this. Eversource, you are in our radars. We're gonna be watching. Again, guys, I leave you with this, and this is my final comment on this subject. One meeting from 1 to 3 is not gonna cut it. You have to reach every neighborhood, every church. You have to hit everybody to talk about what's going on and about the programs that you guys may or may not have. One meeting is not going to cut it. Thank you guys for being here. Excuse me, and thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I want to
Mr. Chairman, excuse me, Todd Ostrowski from McKnight in Springfield.
Hold on, Todd. I want to thank Todd, if you're
So I
gonna,
want Eversource to hear this.
go ahead, you gotta be quick there. Go ahead, Todd.
Okay. Delivery costs. The pipes are already in place. Why is my delivery cost, Eversource, increasing based on the amount of gas I use to heat my home? Like, these are fixed costs. Delivery is already in place. The pipes are there. Why are we all paying based on our usage?
Okay, thank you, Todd. And these are questions. I'll make sure that's a good point. Like I said, Mike is, he's gonna make sure, I make sure that he'll get a lot of the concerns. If anyone who's online or anything, just make sure you forward it also to the council, forward it to me, so I can make sure that they get, some of those questions answered. Like I said, Mike, you know, I thank you guys. I really personally, as far as my outlook on this is really looking in the future, my next move, and I would just ask you, Chris, if you could be helpful with that. I want to get in touch with some of these municipalities. I want to start meeting them that do their own utilities. I believe that it is something right now, if we, you know, of course, it's going to be something expensive. We might have already been too late, but even if we're already been too late, I believe it's something that we should look into and do. Because I believe it's just going to get worse. It'll give us an opportunity to have another choice. I don't think if we're sitting here asking about price increases and things like that, they're not going to go down. Okay, so I think as far as a municipality, I would ask my colleagues, I would ask the mayor, I would ask the reps, I would ask for us now to look to do our own study on doing our own utilities. So with that in mind, I do know that Eversource, they do have certain programs that are available. I don't know, Mike, if you can maybe because just to give some information, I know there are some programs as far as for elderly and certain things that are out there. And Mike, if you can just briefly some of the things.
Yeah, so thank you again. So and going back to Councilor Davila, yes, we are going to have that one in person that we have set up, and we're setting up others. But you know, that doesn't prohibit anybody from calling, you know, today, right now, or at 24/7. We have customer service reps available at any time of the week to speak individually about your bill and the potential program. So I can share just a quick overview of like a one pager, Councilor Brown, with you when we do our follow up. But also, I would encourage everyone to contact 1-800-688-6160. Again, 1-800-688-6160. And again, that just for you know, individual one-on-one discussion regarding your bill and potential programs that could assist. So I would encourage everyone to do that today. And again, I'll follow up with additional information, Councilor.
Thank you, Mike.
If it's okay, if I just chime in for a second here. So I heard a bunch of different questions. I just didn't want them to go kind of unanswered. I'm going to try my best to answer some of them quickly. So one with the street lights, that's unfortunate to hear. And maybe Mike, you can get that information regarding the street lights, and so we can get that addressed.
Yes, I talked with the street lights. I talked with Mike about that last week.
Okay.
It's something that once I get a list of it, just give me the list. It's something that I've talked to. It should be something that, he already is gonna address it, and we'll get them all set.
Okay, great. Then the low income, so the idea of the low income rate, I wanted to talk a little bit about that briefly. The department actually has a docket open right now, DPU 24-15, that's exploring increasing the low income discounts across a broader range of customers. So today, NSTAR Electric has a 42% discount, and NSTAR Gas has a 25% discount. And the department's right now contemplating splitting that up into tiers. So they're looking at energy burdens, you know, the percentage of your income relative to your electric or gas bill. And they're analyzing that to see how we should split that up. So you may have like higher income, higher discounts for people who have a greater energy burden, where their energy bill is a larger share of their income. So they are looking into that. We're working with the department. All the electric companies and gas companies are in that particular docket, looking at expanding it. And they're also looking into expanding it from low income to moderate income customers as well. So they are looking into this, into the energy burden. Heat pumps, I wanted to talk a little bit about that. Yes, we're aware that the heat pumps are resulting in high electric usage. Unitil and National Grid introduced seasonal heat pump rates. I know there's been questions about when Eversource is going to do that. We are working on that. So we are looking to file something at some point to address the high cost of those heat pumps, especially during the winter heating season. And then there was also a question about solar. And I do think that the town should look into like community solar efforts, where you can build like if you have a landfill somewhere and you build a solar array, you can actually have credits paid to that particular solar facility, and those credits can then be allocated to different accounts. And I believe that we're also working on something that may help like low-income communities as well with solar.
Thank you, Rich.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes, school committee member Barbara.
Thank you so much. The gentleman that asked the question of last name is Todd. Can they answer that question? Because that was a good question. We have the pipe, so why are they charging us delivery? I think that was his question, Mr.
Yeah,
Todd.
that's a good question. So I can answer that as well. So one part of it has to do with history and metering. So we've actually, from a rate design perspective, yes, that's correct. It would be just a fixed cost because there are pipes in your ground. But the problem with that is that we have customers of all different sizes. So if you have a single flat charge for customers, if you're a small customer, that could be unduly burdensome to you. Let's say it was like, I don't know, $100 a month for the customer because it's fixed. But if you have a small income or a small house, that may not be appropriate. So that's where the challenge is, of having that kind of flat fee. And historically, customers haven't been billed that way. So it's been billed on a metered usage. So if you're a small customer and you have lower usage, then your bill would be more proportionate to that. So moving to a flat charge is more challenging. But as bills get higher and higher, especially as on the electric side as well, that there is a movement to try and introduce more of these fixed type charges to kind of smooth out the bill. So it is a consideration, as we go forward.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, school committee member Gresham. With that in mind, I want to thank everyone for coming. Make sure if you have any questions or concerns, you can always reach out. My phone number is 413-316-4743.
Mr. Chair, excuse me, could you say the names of the other members in the committee, please?
Yes.
Yourself, myself, and Click Bruce, so they could reach out from the different community, please.
Yes, okay, so we do have other committee members, Councilor Perez and Councilor Labar Click Bruce. So if you guys want to get in contact with them also, we collaborate and we do work on these things together. But I do want to thank everyone for being here. Everyone's made great points. I want everyone to know that we do hear you. I know us as a council body, I'm looking to kind of to make our own way. But I do want to thank Mike and Mike for being here and his colleagues for coming, Chen for coming and answering some questions and giving us some information. I know you guys are just employees, and I know you guys are good employees. So I do thank you guys. But these questions and these answers and these different things and discussion, it'll continue to go on. This isn't gonna be something we can fix overnight, but I want to thank everyone, especially, took their time out today. And once again, you'll see Chris, I'm looking for us as a city to talk to little different municipalities and try to figure out maybe how we can do things on our own and maybe be more competitive or as competitive than Eversource. And I don't want to discredit Eversource, but at least we can, become more, give people, our constituents another option. So once again, I thank everyone and I want to, and thank you guys.
Thank you for hosting.